Hello, friends. Welcome to the new episode of r/IDontWorkHereLady. We have 3 great stories waiting for us today, so let's get started with the first. Volunteering turned berating. Back in 2011, I was a freshman in college. I attended an honors college, HC, within my university, which I absolutely loved. The director of the HC emailed students asking if any of us would be interested in speaking with high school students at Generic High School, GHS, about our college experiences. I signed up right away as I loved what the HC offered me and I wanted to share that joy with other potential students. To clarify, GHS reached out to my director asking us to come to them, not the other way around like a recruiting event. This made me extra excited because I didn't have to convince anyone of anything. We were wanted, and I could honestly talk about my college experience without having to sell the HC. We left our campus at around 6 a.m. to get to GHS on time, which, in case you didn't know, is usually a killer time for undergrads. We stopped for breakfast on the way and were promised lunch. As soon as we came into the building, it was clear there was a huge disconnect or lack of communication between the guidance counselor at GHS, whom invited us and the rest of the teachers. Our group received a ton of scornful glances and looks, so much so that even I noticed it, and I'm oblivious to most things. To the teachers, it seemed we were an inconvenience, even though we were only speaking during one teacher's sections. In between the first and second sessions, we stood out in the hall to greet the students as they were coming in. 2 of us pulled out our phones, and immediately a teacher walking by stopped right in front of us. "You know the rules. Put it away." "Oh, sorry, ma'am. We're not students here. We're visiting from HC." "Then don't you think you should be setting a good example for the GHS students and not use your phone?" My friend and I meekly apologized and put our phones away. We were a little embarrassed, but tried to shrug it off. When lunchtime came, I expected us to go into an empty classroom or something, but nope, we were sent to the cafeteria and told to find a table. Our provided lunch was a student meal from the cafeteria. I wasn't really complaining. I grew up on free lunch, and a free meal was a free meal. As the small group of us with the director ate our lunch, naturally we pulled out our phones again. We were college students volunteering our free time, and obviously my director looks older and has a ton of additional responsibilities besides this one visit. We were also sitting at one of those stereotypical student cafeteria table/benches where a male gym teacher, also stereotypical looking, rushes over. "You all, put your phones away before I take them now." My director was slightly aghast at his reaction as she hadn't been in the hallway earlier when another teacher chided us. My director begins to explain that we're not students, we're just visitors, but before she could even finish, he interrupts. "Well, welcome to our school, but we have rules here. These college students look like our kids, and if they see them using their phones, they'll think it's okay." At this point, I could tell my director was getting agitated. We drove out here at 6 a.m. at the school's request, received condescending looks from other teachers, and were forced to eat in the student cafeteria. But this was also a small high school. 150 per grade max. I just graduated from a similar class size, so I was PO'd at this gym teacher's logic. If it's a group of 6 strangers showed up at my cafeteria, we'd know that they were not students and likely visiting. The rest of us put our phones back, swearing under our breath, and my director kept her phone out. Not obnoxiously, but like I mentioned before, she had a ton of other responsibilities besides this visit. So essentially, she was trying to catch up on all the work she was missing by volunteering to drive us out here. Male gym teacher comes swooping in like a hawk. "Put that away! Who invited you here? I need to speak with them." Director mentioned the guidance counselor's name, and gym teacher wandered off to yell at some other actual students. Finally, we reached the end of this hellish day that I'm sure my director hadn't experienced since she was a high school student. The guidance counselor, who we only saw briefly at the beginning of the day, saw us out and cheerfully asked how our day went. Her face dropped when she saw how unhappy we HC students were. My director politely smiled and said, "We'll follow up in an email," preventing us from having to spend another minute in GHS hell. When we got back, my director wrote the guidance counselor an email where she professionally murdered her with words. Basically, she could not believe how poorly we were treated by the teachers of a high school we were invited to. How we had no problem eating in the student cafeteria, but to be chided in front of other students was rather humiliating. She mentioned how she herself hadn't felt that berated since high school and that in the future the HC would not be willing to come and talk. The guidance counselor sent a real apologetic email back, but my director stood by her word, and we didn't go back throughout my years there. I went to dozens of other high schools where I was treated as equal to staff, or even better because I was a guest. Overall, I felt the worst for the GHS students, as it was clear many of the teachers there were in it for the position of power over the role of educating. And our second story. I don't have to be nice. So, this was just fun. At lunch a few minutes ago, had to run by a local sporting goods store. Apparently, every new sport my kid does requires new clothes and accessories. So I'm perusing volleyball knee pads, who even knew that was a thing for 9-year-olds, got my phone Googling to figure out what size I needed, and this woman walked up to me, snorted, and said, "Well, that's not very professional." I ignored her, as in this area there's a thing called the Seattle Freeze, where we don't talk to random people in stores as they might either be A, crazy, or B, want to start a conversation with you. Well, she proceeds to stick her hand in front of my phone screen and say, "Didn't you hear what I said?" I looked up and, big surprise, middle-aged woman wearing spandex that's screaming, "Ow, ow, stop, I give up." A $200 workout jacket over it and a foul look on her face. Said, "Please don't do that. What do you want anyway?" So she starts in about my outfit and how unprofessional it is. In honor of St. Patty Day and him hating Schneck, I'm wearing a green flannel shirt, a green t-shirt with shamrocks that says "Conserve water, drink beer" on it, jeans, and a hat with a green Triforce on it. I look down and say, "Okay, but who cares? My boss doesn't give a crap. Why does it matter to you? You really should mind your own business." Then I look back at my phone trying to understand why a 4'6" kid wears a medium, but a 4'7" kid wears a small. She puts her hand on my phone and tries to knock it out of my hands. "Lady, I appreciate your concern, but I'm really not interested in your opinion. Now get your hands the F off me before you lose them." Well, she shrieks. "What did you just say to me? You can't talk to me that way. Get me your manager now." At that point, I got where she was coming from and quickly said, "Ah, I see your problem. I don't work here." Well, she was beyond listening. She got a whole rant going. Store manager comes up to see what's going on. I totally ignore her, and before she can say anything, ask, "Hey bro, do you know anything about kids' volleyball pads? I'm lost here. And this chick freaking out isn't helping." You could literally watch the gears in her head churn. She finally realized that I didn't work there and turned purple in the face. Wasn't even red, purple. Thought she was going to die. I asked, "Lady, you okay?" She squeaked and ran out of the store. Told the manager what happened. He laughed, gave me 10% off. And the third story today. Sorry I don't work here, but Merry Christmas. This just happened today. Well, technically yesterday. I decided I needed to go out and buy some groceries for the week. What completely slipped my mind is that today was the day before Christmas Eve. I blissfully hop into my car and made my way to the big blue store that greatly values their value. It's not until I see the parking lot that it dawns on me. This place is packed. I find a parking spot, take a deep breath, make my way inside. I grab a cart and start pushing through the crowd. The first few items on my list are things we need around the house: cleaner, wrapping paper, tape, etc. I figure I should get those first before I get the food. I make it to the hardware section and find the adhesives aisle. I decide to leave my cart near the end of the aisle, tucked into the side so it's not in anyone's way, but also so I don't have to maneuver it past everyone that's standing around. I should explain at this point that I'm wearing black sweatpants and a black shirt. I may look a little generic, but I don't look like an employee. At least I think I don't. I begin walking down the aisle when I notice a confused woman, who I'll refer to as CW, staring directly at me. I keep walking, and my intention is to walk past her to where the tape I need is located. CW, "Excuse me." I keep walking at this point, thinking maybe she just said "excuse me" since I was walking by her, but she repeats herself, "Excuse me." Me, realizing she wants to speak to me, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize you were trying to get my attention. Is everything okay? You know anything about repairs or just fixing things in general?" "I'd like to think I'm fairly handy. Is there something I can help you with?" She then proceeds to tell me a story about her and her daughter trying to mount one of those phone holder things that you get for your car that attaches to the air vent clips. Apparently they pressed too hard and it caused the vent to break and pushed into the dash. She said she could pull it back out but wanted to glue it back into place. We chatted a bit, talking over options like looking up replacement parts online. She seemed confident in her desire to find a solution and fix it herself. We settled on a slow-drying epoxy that shouldn't damage the dash or plastic vent and is very strong when dry. Me: well, I hope everything works out. That stuff is strong, so you shouldn't have any trouble with the vent once it's dry. CW: thank you. I hope it works too. I really appreciate your help. With that, I turn back toward the aisle and find the adhesive tape I was looking for, then start making my way back to my cart. That's when I hear this. CW: wait, sir, do you work here? I turn around and see it's the same woman addressing me again. Me: oh, no, sorry, I don't. I'm just doing some grocery shopping. CW, eyes wide: I'm so sorry. I thought you worked here in the hardware department. Me: I don't, but that's okay. I'm really just happy to help, and I hope everything goes well with your car. CW: thanks, I do too. Sorry for the mistake, but thanks for helping me. I hope you have a Merry Christmas. Me: thank you. Hope you have a Merry Christmas as well. She smiled and did a quick wave, then turned and left the aisle. I think she may have been embarrassed, but she was very sweet and seemed very appreciative. And I don't really mind helping out strangers when they have questions, especially when they're polite. I know a lot of stories on this sub are people behaving badly, so I thought it might be nice to share this one. Nothing crazy happened, just a simple and pleasant case of mistaken identity that ended with a Merry Christmas. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video to the end, and I'll see you in the next one.